Mercy can heal 60 health per second, making her the second best healing character in the game, only behind Grandma Ana. This should make her a very strong support pick for both offense and defense, but since release she's been the subject of many balance tweaks. To name a few, we've seen a buff to her healing per second, a buff to her damage beam, a buff to her ultimate, and a nerf to her ultimate charge rate. Despite these improvement attempts by Blizzard, Mercy still does not receive much gameplay time from top-level players. So, what's the problem? I think the main issue is centered around a dilemma every single Mercy player faces. Heal your team, or hide and res? Hi, I'm Omni with Faulty Lid, and today we're going to discuss Mercy's dilemma. The fact of the matter is that Mercy is too vulnerable and too squishy to be able to effectively both heal her team and res any fallen teammates in teamfights. Sure, if her team is properly protecting her, she could keep healing them and remain near the action, probably pulling off her 1 or 2 man res. But Mercy has no way of knowing if this is more powerful than hiding at the start of the fight, swooping in when all hope is lost last minute to pull off a 4 or 5 man res, giving her team a man advantage. If while Mercy is hiding for a res, she gets found and killed by an enemy flanker, during that time the team lost out on healing during the fight, and they would get no res if they lost the fight. On the other hand, if Mercy stays with her team healing them, she runs a higher risk of dying via enemy ultimates, and although the team did get some healing, they wouldn't get a res. I'm sorry guys, but guess what? I don't have a perfect answer to which is better and when. What I'm trying to highlight is that nobody has a perfect formula, and all I can provide you with is my own research and experience. When I play Mercy, I try to balance the risk-reward by healing my team for as long as I possibly can, and then attempting to hide for res after the first teammate dies, or when I see 2 or more teammates about to die. This obviously doesn't always work, because sometimes there's no quick escape route out of a team fight, and sometimes I get focused fired down immediately. But when it does work, man does it work well. By providing some healing at the start of the fight, I help my team to potentially get 1 or 2 picks. At that point, I try to hide, because the enemy may try and use ultimates to swing the fight back into their favor. It's at this point that even if we lose 1 or 2 people, that I resurrect my team, because not only do I reestablish our man advantage, but it also gives us an ultimate advantage, which essentially solidifies the team fight for us. Although this is not the perfect formula, it should highlight the factors that you, as Mercy, must be weighing in your decision making. The best res is the one that gives you a man advantage and an ultimate advantage. Sometimes you can only get one, and in these situations there's never a clear answer. If I can't get both advantages, I quickly go back to simply healing my team and save my res for the next team fight. So now that we've established a baseline about how to think about a res, let's go back and dive into the potential cause of the dilemma and suggest some solutions. Mercy is the only character whose abilities directly contradict her ultimate. Of course, she has to be alive in order to do them both, but think about it. To effectively heal and buff her team, she has to be near them, but in order to effectively use her ultimate, she has to stay safe, which involves being away from them. So how can this be balanced out? All of Mercy's past adjustments have been centered around improving her technical abilities, but none of them really attempted to balance her conflicting purposes on the battlefield. Therefore, my conclusion is that the biggest problem is her low survivability. She's a high priority target in the kill order, and therefore needs some way to better defend herself or escape attackers. Does she need more mobility, more health or shields, more damage output? All of these ideas haven't yet been experimented with, and they all have potential to end the dilemma. The solutions I'm going to share with you are either my own ideas or ones that I've heard from the Overwatch community, and they generally fall into 2 categories: adjust her current toolkit, or give her an additional ability. Currently, Mercy is the only hero without an E ability. I'm not sure if Blizzard did this intentionally, or if they have plans to give her an additional ability in the future, but I think this does have the potential to solve her dilemma. The first potential E ability is a self-resurrect with a very long cooldown. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of this, as having to kill a Mercy twice in one teamfight simply sounds like a miserable endeavor. And although the point behind it is that maybe the cooldown is over a minute long, I still don't think this would fix her survivability issue. The second is Mercy pressing E to be able to place some sort of hotspot anywhere on the map that she can shift fly to in order to escape attackers. I think this has the potential to work because it gives her that added mobility to quickly escape and makes her less reliant on Pharah as a teammate. Of course, this hotspot would still need to be in range of her, but basically Mercy could still heal while being highly mobile, making her a harder target to hit. That's all for additional abilities. Now let's look at her current mechanics. First up, a longer healing beam, or one that works better from around corners. This would essentially give Mercy the ability to hide for a res while still healing a teammate. If she can do both at the same time, the dilemma is solved. However, this does nothing for her survivability because enemies could still simply follow her beam like breadcrumbs straight to her and kill her. So maybe she really needs a more transparent beam that can't be seen easily. Granted, it would be a bit weird, but hey, it would solve the dilemma. The last potential solution is that when players get resurrected, their abilities are off cooldowns and available. How many times have you been rezzed as McCree or Zarya, but couldn't use your flashbang or bubble because they were still on cooldown? If this change was made, I think it would effectively tip the scales of Mercy's dilemma and make the hide and res strategy the more powerful one. Because often enemy players press Q during the resurrect wait period and teammates get killed again. If they had abilities immediately available, they could save themselves or the whole team from sure death. Blizzard is obviously aware that Mercy has this issue of survivability, and her recent buff on the PTR proves it. They haven't opted for an E ability quite yet, but they're currently testing out how she plays when regenerating health after 1 second of no damage versus 3 seconds. This buff would change her risk-reward dynamic by allowing her to stay on the battlefield healing her teammates longer instead of running and hiding at the start of teamfights. I think this is a step in the right direction and anticipate this or a similar change getting through to the live game, as it contributes to reduction in Mercy's dilemma. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at FaultyLidGaming. This has been Omni with Faulty Lid, and I'll see you in the next one.